We live, brother.
Bismillah, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his servant. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the gift from Allah, who came in person of Master Farad Muhammad, and from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in his time of suffering and pain. I greet you all in the greeting words of peace in the Arabic language. We say it, Assalamu alaikum. In English, we say, may peace be unto you. You are tuned into Northwest Stance. We want to always thank Open Signal for allowing this program to be so consistent on their airways throughout the years. We want to always thank Brother Daniel for helping us to continue this kind of program. And we thank Brother Ronnie Mann for coming through. Hey, Daniel, can you tell the playback that, oh no, it's on. I'll check on my phone, it's on. So, today, our topic would be past, present, and future being perfect. Past, present, and future being perfect. We're going to talk about histories, prophecies, and the future. Again, I want to always thank Open Signal for allowing this program to be on their station, for our people to listen and learn, and then for others also to listen and learn, if they have an ear to listen and pay attention to what is being presented from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the stance, the particular powerful stance of Minister Farrakhan today. So again, our topic would be past, present, and future being perfect, and histories, prophecies, and the future. We want to always deal with definitions as we go through this subject today. And this subject is so profound that, as I always say, this is just kind of like an introduction. This is why I call these programs Hour Talks. It's just an hour of talking about these wonderful teachings that all of us can study and be a part of. We have information engines. Finalcall.com, NOI.org, Brother Minister, I think brotherminister.com. And on YouTube, there is a YouTube channel called STEM Files. STEM File. There's many more too, and I should have wrote them down, but you can look for them, like Dr. Wesley Muhammad, like our late sister Eva Muhammad. These are, and it's many more too. These are websites that allow us to have a proper introduction to the teaching of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad through the particular stance and special stance of Mr. Farrakhan, who stood in 1955 and reintroduced us to these teachings again after the nation, quote unquote, fell in 1977, 78. So again, past, present, and future being perfect. We want to talk about the scriptures, and we want to actually get into some very timely points that the minister made in his monumental book, A Torchlight for America. Histories and prophecies greatly affect the future of individuals and populations. Prophecies being mathematical foresight because of superior insight. The teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is revelation that is the best that is the best way to learn the past, present, and future being perfect. And we're going to explain this, Allah willing. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I want to start by just giving us a synopsis. And this is just, a few mentionings, but he taught so much to the people. That is public information, okay? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught that God in person taught him that the black man is the original man. He also taught that God in person taught him that the white man is a made man. He also taught that the black nation consists of the black, brown, and yellow man. He also taught that the scripture is written before the actual happening, which includes, this is deep, which includes the insight into the tampering of the scriptures by our open enemy. Studies have and are bearing witness to what was revealed to him. When we look at when we look at what he taught, and then we actually look at the progression of the thinking of the people and the progression of the scientists and how they try to condemn it, but they end up verifying it through their own discovery process. Then we learn how to have a proper attitude toward what he said, allowing the person of Master Farad Muhammad revealed to him. Some can't grasp. Again, our topic, past, present, and future being perfect. Some people sometimes, well, a lot of us, a significant number of us, sometimes we kind of don't grasp that word perfect as we should. We think it means something that's beyond us, or beyond, what we can actually understand as perfect. Some can't grasp that there would be perfection, and in context is perfection. Again, we always, it is beyond important that we stress, emphasize the value of words and looking up words. Again, everything is a word. This is why the universe is by intelligent design. It's not the Big Bang Theory. That's foolishness. But everything is a word. Okay, the word perfect, it means having all the required or desired elements, qualities, or characteristics. It means as good as it is possible to be. That's the actual meaning of the word. So, past, present, and future being perfect is telling us of the faultlessness of knowledge through time. Now, more definitions before we get into the actual meat of our talk today. The word past means the time or period of time before the moment of speaking or writing. The word present means the period of time now occurring. Future means the time or a period of time following the moment of speaking or writing. Time regarding as still to come. Now, Allah, as I said earlier about some of us, we sometimes see the word perfect beyond in a kind of like, not spooky way, but in a way that actually takes it from reality. But the Holy Quran itself Allah answers those who question his perfection. And this verse, when we say ayat, we mean verse in Arabic. When we say surah, we mean chapter. But the word surah and ayat has a more fuller meaning than the meanings of chapter and verse in English. In chapter 67, verses 3 and 4 of the glorious Quran, Allah himself answers those who question his perfection. This verse, this ayat is, how can I say that? It is compounded, I should say, in wisdom and knowledge. It unfolds, through eons of time. If we continue to study it and continue to actually look beyond a present understanding to a deeper understanding of what we already read. Allah says, who created the heavens and the earth alike? There is no incongruity in the creation of the beneficent. Then look again. Canst thou see in the disorder? Then turn the eye again, and thy look will return to thee confused while it is fatigued. The word incongruity means the state of being out of keeping. Okay? Now bear with us now, because I just want to get to the meanings first. The state of being out of keeping. There are scientists, we can do simple Googles, but there are also books of scientists that has actually studied the universe, studied the Milky Way, studied the movement of the earth and its waters and the mountains and so forth, and they are still studying and finding more mathematical conclusions that they bear witness that this is a creation of intelligence, not the Big Bang Theory. Okay? Now, oddity is another word for incongruity. There's no oddity in what we see. In our level of understanding, in our level of misunderstanding, in our level of growth, we may see an oddity, but that's only because of our level where we are at presently in our mind and spirit. The word fatigue means extreme tiredness resulting from mental or physical exertion or illness. So again, these scientists, they are continuing to study, the universe, and they are finding out as the master teacher who taught the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught many, many decades ago when he actually initiated what is called the Nation of Islam in the West, that we are the human being. We are the microcosm of the macrocosm. A great knowledge and truth we are exploring today. The stance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that he has held since his first Savior's Day in 1955 is the point of reference for us as we continue to strive to become properly developed believers in revelation, taking into account the necessity for believers, unbelievers, weak believers, enemies, and hypocrites. I want to read that sentence again, because that sentence takes us into why the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is a great study in and of himself. Now listen, the stance that the minister has held since his first Savior's Day in 1955 is the point of reference for us as we continue to strive to become properly developed believers. We are striving to become that. Okay? That's a goal of life, even though most of us will not make it in that goal, because really the time of judgment in the process of the evolution of human life and so forth, there will always be those coming behind us that understand the truth even better and have a better grip on it. So we are always striving to become properly developed believers. We are always striving for that, okay? And as we continue to strive for that, we continue to actually understand that the Holy Quran we understand this, not just quote it. The Holy Quran never says that only believers mind. Okay? Holy Quran always says that that only men of understanding mind. So again, as we continue to strive to become believers that's developed properly, we must take into account the necessity, okay? And this gets into prophecy. Necessity for disbelievers, and these are different words. Disbelievers, D-I-S is the suffix, okay? Unbelievers, U-N, okay? These have different meanings. Weak believers, enemies, and hypocrites. What the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the minister has provided us with will affect the development of the human family on into the eons. Believers have an obligation to share what we have learned. The word obligation means an act or course of action to which a person is morally or legally bound. Morally or legally bound, a duty or commitment, a debt of gratitude for a service or a favor. This is why in Islam we are taught that belief except it's carried to practice mean nothing. And then, of course, we know in the Gospels that Jesus is recorded to have said that do not only be hearers of the word, but be doers of the word also. Why? Because it is practice. It helps you to keep a grip on your own salvation. The practice of it, the refining of your practice in your thoughts and so forth by studying, by trying to improve your character every day. When we don't practice this, then we fall more into the position of possibly being mocked by those who are watching but are not seeing that we are striving to be better believers of what we are talking about, okay? And all of us have to be condemned in one way or another to make us into the kind of believers that we are reading about throughout the scriptures. Real talk. So, in the book of Luke, it talks about, but he that knew not, the book of Luke 12:48, But he that knew not and did not commit things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given of him shall be much required, and to men have committed much, of him they were asked the more. So we all have an obligation, and this is why I call these our talks, and I call it a effort to to introduce the public to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings and the stance of Mr. Farrakhan, and to hopefully reintroduce those of us who claimed belief before to see that these teachings belong to all of us that want to accept it. No matter what color you are, it belongs to those of us who want to actually see the time and the dictates of the time properly. Past, present, and future being present, being perfect. Now, I'm about to read. This is very interesting. And you know, all of this was documented. There's, again, a website to go to is brotherminister.com. And there are so many links on noi.org of articles and the study guides and the minister's time and what must be done, lecture series and so forth. There's so many links on that website that actually help us to become better students of this supreme wisdom. But there is a letter that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote to his ministers back in 1936. You know, there is, what is that called? Historical museums or archives where they archive the messenger's words and articles. And there's a website, the Coalition for the Remembrance of Elijah is CROE.org. Powerful website, okay? Powerful website where they actually have furnished for us this supreme wisdom so that the children who's coming up, they will actually see it even deeper than we see it today. And that's the blessing. So, in 1936, remember our topic, past, present, and future being perfect. Histories, prophecies, and the future. In 1936, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote a letter to some of his ministers. Now, I'm about to read it, but bear in mind that how he used the words history, prophecy, and future is very significant. Very. Okay? So, after we get through this letter, then we can get into the other points that are kind of like the meat of this hour talk. So, he wrote, 1936, he wrote, history of all of our studies is most attractive and best qualified to reward our research, as it develops the springs and motives of human actions and displays the consequences of circumstances which operate most powerfully on the destinies of human beings. It stands true that we, the lost found nation of Islam in the wilderness of North America, have not applied ourselves to the study of history, but rather to folly. The wise man is he who has made a careful study of past events, of ancient history and modern history. The knowledge of the future is judged by the knowledge of the past. There are some men who are born with the gift of prophecy, while others are trained into it through an intense study of history, unquote. That is what he wrote. The letter is more fuller than that, but that is the quote that I got from that information. So he wrote that. Now here's another point that Brother Jibril Muhammad, a friend and confidant of the minister for many decades, and who was trained and taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, asked the minister a question about the woman in Islam and the future of the woman and so forth, and also asked him about prophecy and so forth. For the sake of this, for the point of this topic today, I want to quote the minister's answer about prophecy. This is in the book called Closing the Gap, a public book that anybody can get. It'll come first-class mail to your home, to your address, for your bookshelf in your home or apartment or studio or house or whatever. So the minister answered this question about prophecy. Some of us are favored by God in that way. This is what sets apart the prophet from the great historian who predicts and prophesied. It is the gift that God has given the prophet to see beyond what is presently seen. But the historian studies the cyclical nature of history and the cyclical nature of the struggle of the human being to achieve peace and security and fulfillment. As a consequence of that intense study, he can with fairly great exactitude prophesy. But those are rare cases and rare individuals. But for the most part, all of us have to study. Again, Closing the Gap, a book where it is compiled of the minister's answers to questions from a student that was taught and trained by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was taught and trained by God himself, God in person of Master Farad Muhammad. The word cyclical means occurring in cycles, recurrent, happening at regular intervals. So, saying all of that, we have to pay attention to the history of what has happened to us, and history even before that, and the even present history, probably 20, 30 years ago, to actually see what needs to be seen when it comes to our open enemy and our stand and our plight here in North America. Some dismiss the value of history. This is because they have been dumbed down. There are people, millions of us today, all over the earth, have been a victim of this wicked Caucasian civilization. Okay? Even a lot of white people are victims of their own that didn't give a damn about victimizing them also. Okay? But it is still this Caucasian civilization that is the culprit here. Okay? And they was given a certain amount of time to do their work. And we're going to get to that too a little bit later. So, we have been dumbed down. We have been victimized by disinformation and misinformation. Another definition now, another meaning now to actually grasp what's being talked about here. Dumbed down means is to make something less accurate or educational of the worst quality by trying to make it easier for people to understand. Okay? So, man, it's with education today, it's with no matter what level, elementary, middle school, high school, even college. You know, you get people in universities, man, that don't know how to defend the fact that there's no such thing as genders. There is no such thing as sexual orientation. You get people in colleges under professors that don't know how to prove that there is no such thing as it is okay to want to be a trans person or homosexual. No such thing as that. But people have been dumbed down to the point where they actually think that falsehood is truth and think that truth is falsehood. This is why that phrase goes around a lot. The phrase goes, truth is stranger than fiction. That's real. We're in a dangerous time today, and we just well to put our minds on the level of we got to take refuge in the law, take refuge in truth, stand on truth, speak the truth regardless of consequence. We are not trying to condemn anybody. We are not trying to judge anybody. I recall the minister said, and I like repeating this, that his mother used to always say, you don't have to lie on anybody. The truth about everybody is bad enough. You ain't got to lie on anybody, man. So, dumb down. Here's an example Here's an example of dumbed down. Check this out. The station example. The station denies that its broadcasting has been dumbed down. Okay? Some dismiss the importance of prophecies or future written and spoken because of being dumbed down. Okay? So, again, our topic, past, present, and future, histories, prophecies in the future. More definitions. Before we get into some very, important points. Very important points. Okay. The word historiography means the study of historical writing, the writing of history based on critical examination of sources, the selection of particulars from the authentic materials, and the synthesis of particulars into a narrative that will stand the test of critical methods. Okay. There's also a word called ahistorical, just the A next to the word historical, meaning that what is being presented is not really history. It's really lies that's being camouflaged as history. Our enemies have been presenting ahistorical misinformation. The historical research method goes against many narratives they put forth. Historical research method primarily involves collecting information from primary and secondary sources. While differences exist between these sources, organizations and institutions can use both types of these sources to access historical events and provide proper context comprehensively. Presenting that which is ahistorical is our enemy's attempt to keep us blind and attempt to escape culpability. Similar to them trying to make Egypt a white civilization, they have been trying to write our servitude under them out of history. They are trying to make it seem that we were indentured servants instead of being under their brutality. So they continue to work like this because they are our open enemy. And now because they have failed, because even they're on, you can just go on basic social media websites, and you will see every once in a while a white man or a white woman expose their own people, talking about how their own people hid this and hid that, lying on the history of black people and so forth. So they are running into a lot of not competition, but they are running into a lot of pushback from their own people, because it is time now that the black man and woman, get what is due to us, full justice, not only from them, but not really from them, I should say, but from God himself. So they are trying to rewrite our history, because they have control of the curriculum right now in their circle of influence and so forth. But people are now taking their children from the public school system until it is actually if it is actually affected with truth, so that children can actually not continue to be dumbed down how they are purposely dumbed down by our open enemies. This is real talk. So they even go far. They even go so far as to say that there were black masters in some areas in North, South, and Central America. What was then called in those years the Americas, plural. The historical research method proved that we were under tyranny as their burden bearers for over 400 years, approximately 300 years in physical servitude, and over 100 years of what's called Jim Crow. Now, ever since I would say the early 90s. I mean, it was real slow in the 80s, but the early 90s till now, this immigrant wave has came in, and people just thought, people that really wasn't on it, really didn't understand what was going on, and that was many of us. We just thought, it's just immigrants coming in and so forth. But really, That was the plan. That was the plan of the enemy to take the attention off of justice for us. So this is why you had the problem in Chicago recently, where it was a sister and some others with her, a whole movement in Chicago where they actually went to the media and went to their own community and actually talked up about, we do not want no more immigrant waves in our community where those who control the funds are moving all of these funds to actually build them apartments and actually give them money to actually have a reality in our community and so forth. But then we get nothing. But we get gentrified. Okay, we get moved out of our hood, and then they do this all over the country because they trying their best. They're trying their best to distract the people from the fact that this black man and woman in America will not be ignored. Okay, this black man and woman in America, is not the kind of people. And I made this point before, that our African family that comes here, our Mexican family that comes here, the ethnic Russians, whatever, this ain't going to be a thing where black people, that came from the sojourn of servitude, where they just disappeared after 100 years and so forth. No, because the scriptures, prophecy is on our side, to destroy those who want to destroy us. It's prophecy throughout the Bible and the Holy Quran. This is why whenever they try to, put our issues under the rug, here it go again, right in front of their face as a thorn in their side. And this thorn is destroying their influence here and around the world. Most definitely. And around the world. Recently, in the Bay, in San Francisco, they had another meeting for reparations. Okay? There is plenty of history that actually shows that reparations is due us, and this enemy will destroy himself, so that not only will we get what is owed to us, we will get the whole country. And then the others that are here with us, they will recognize how they was just used by the open enemy as this time went on before the judgment, actually fell into the strength that is fallen into today. This is real talk. Okay, so yeah, in Oakland, they were talking about, recently what is going on with reparations and so forth. It's a lot to it, but I'm just trying to give those introduction points because we only have an hour here to talk about these things. But there was a panel, of legislators that actually approved it. Now it's going through other kind of committees and so forth. Some of the points that they made were the panel's first vote approved a detailed account of historical discrimination against black Californians in areas such as voting, housing, education, disproportionate policing, incarceration, and other things. Okay? And also, they pointed out, by participating in these horrors, Caucasian Californians, okay, further perpetrate the harms African Americans faced, in emboldening racial prejudice throughout society through segregation, public and private discrimination, and unequal dispersal of state and federal funds. You can't tell us. You couldn't tell us then. You can't tell us now. Okay, that these Mexicans, our family, they come here and then they have this, that, and the other, and so forth. And we've been here, since we were brought here. And you practice economic sabotage on us. And then, because some of us don't know, you try to fool the ignorant of us by saying, we should all love each other. This is a melting pot now. That is some heavy deceit, for the ignorant. And they take it and they swallow that. But then, after a while, they'd be like, oh, there's something wrong here. There's something going on wrong here. So we waking up. We waking up. Also, many said it is past time for governments to repair the harms that they have kept African Americans from living without fear of being wrongfully prosecuted, retaining property, and building wealth. You know, there's, man, even in this city, the whole Emmanuel Hospital area, that was stolen by deceit. You know, it's a respectable and reputable sister named Bird. We call her Bird. That's actually, you know, champion that cause to put the word out and to actually be in the face of these thieves and deceivers, where that we are going to put it forth to the authorities until the bottoms fall out of their ability to continue to influence us with lies. Most definitely. Most definitely. So, let's get back to our point about histories, prophecies, and the future. Now we all, when we study the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings, as I said earlier, let me try to find that particular point that I said earlier about history. If I can find that really quick. Let me see. Okay, can't find it. But let me continue with this. As our open enemies hide in buried history in attempts to keep us in ignorance, the God and his host, okay, when you know how we have books, we have curriculum, and we have a few people that we don't really identify by face and name, but they actually influence the kind of books we get, and that is lower level in comparison to God's assembly and God's host. Okay, certain things were allowed for them to do so that, you know, ultimately all that will have no effect into the new world, into the new civilization for the human family. So again, let me start over. As our enemies hid and buried history in attempts to keep us in ignorance, the God and his host hid and buried history and knowledge from this civilization to allow for their temporary and contrary rule. I'm about to read an important point. Okay? Now we're in the time of fulfillment of prophecy concerning the last approximately 6,000 years. Here's a point that I am about to read from the minister in study guide 20. Again, asked a question by our brother and respected historian, respected scriptural scientist Jibril Muhammad. Brother Jibril asked him many things, but in this for this point, I want to repeat the response that the minister had to the 6,000 year history of the Caucasian. The minister responded, quote, however, it was seen in the beginning of this 25,000 year cycle that in the year 8400, one would be born from among us that would bring in a world contrary to the nature of Allah and the nature in which he created creation. The scientists agreed that such one should come, which they could have altered, or the judge of that cycle could have altered. But he in his wisdom said, let it be. So this was one coming by the permissive will of Allah to act as the God of this world. In order to keep this people from using our ancient wisdom to build his world, we start the process then of preparing for the arrival of the God of this world. The God of this world is the white man. Okay? He is not the God. He is the God of this world. Remember, you know, the word world does not mean earth. The word world means systems of government, you know, of education and so forth. Well, in this world is temporary, and this world came into existence for a prescribed time, but then as a purification for the human family once the end of this world is announced and begins to crumble and so forth. So again, in order to keep these people from using our ancient wisdom to build his world, we start the process then of preparing for the arrival of the God of this world. Part of the act of preparation was to cover up the signs of the wisdom of the original man in the earth. We cannot cover up the signs of the original people in the heavens, but we could keep them from reading our signs in the earth by burying our ancient civilization under the sea, under the sand, and under the forest. So the new man came to build his contrary world. This is why today they are continuing to study, in their effort of archaeology. They are building up. They are building from the earth, I should say. I mean, they are digging from the earth. Science that they have not even reached the peak, that they have not even learned how to practice, I should say. The familiar talk that we always hear is about the 7 great wonders and the pyramids and the science actually employed in building up the pyramids that they are still wrangling over. Our people did that, and we, because this enemy had to have his contrary rule, according to the prophets and so forth. Us today, ever since, before the coming of Master Farad Muhammad, the God in person, we had to go through, Jibril Muhammad always say it like this, a kind of, what is that word? It was right there. A kind of, it starts with a D. Oh man, but it is a kind of sleep, that we had to go through to allow this man to rule. And this is why he is so upset today at our rise. He has sent money, man, to the Ukraine, to Israel. He bring in immigrants and so forth, and they end up coming to our community and having these business funds, and then we up here. Not knowing how to build a business ourselves, and then when we actually learn how to get into business, then they set up economic sabotage. This is why separation is the only and best solution. We didn't say exclusion, we said separation. In mind and physically and spiritually. How many of us understand that there are Mexican neighborhoods right now? There are, let me see. The immigrant Indians, they have nice neighborhoods today. Ethnic Russians, nice. And then when we drive through there, they they calling the police. They're like, because they like, we don't belong there and so forth in their eyes. Well, the reason why we have not made that a reality again is because the first thing that must happen, that is happening today, is the enemy. His influence must be totally uprooted, because his influence actually brought these other cultures here to actually be as a buffer toward us, or some kind of mockery toward us and so forth. So, for us to actually have what we need to have, he has to be, his influence has to be uprooted, root and branch, usurped, root and branch. That probably ain't the proper word, but yeah, uprooted, root and branch. Real talk. So, some of us, man, are so devoted. Some of us are so, man, fear is a like Rick James used to always say, cocaine is a hell of a drug. But man, fear is a hell of a drug too, man. Real talk. Fear is a hell of a drug, man. And the only way to get fear all of us is through, not the only way, but the ways to get fear all of us is through study, prayer, even eating right, man, would take that fear out of you. Not that you would be this fearless person that's aggressive and this stone-faced cat. No, but you just will not have that kind of fear, where you shouldn't speak your mind, you shouldn't talk straight words and so forth. Yeah, you miss us with that. miss us with that. So, some of us are so devoted in not wanting to see our enemies as our enemies. We find comfort in not holding them accountable. This hostile society, coupled with our disunity, enables this kind of ignorance, which is voluntary ignorance. Voluntary ignorance refers to unaware states that result from the neglect to take reasonable steps to acquire important knowledge. This exists when a party might, by taking reasonable pains, have acquired the knowledge but have neglected to do the same. Example. Let me give you an example of this. Example. He should have looked up the adverse reactions of the medication before taking them. Excuse me. The minister said, the white man is not the problem. It is our fear and ignorance of him that is the problem. The minister's teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who escaped the death plot, who is the exalted Christ today, he said in his monumental lecture series, Theology of Time, 1972 lecture series, did you know all of those lecture series are on YouTube? 1972 is audio, all of them. So you can study it for yourself and see how he actually introduced to us the time and what must be done in the ancient wisdom of our people that is being employed today with the new wisdom to destroy our enemy from ever having influence again over the human family. Okay? But anyway, though, he said, a point that he made in the Theology of Time lecture series, quote, if you continue to listen to me, you will take the devil around your finger like a string, and you will not even know it's there except you look at it, then shake it off, unquote. Okay? That's what we're looking at today. A people that are to be made into gods. As the Bible said, we are all children of God. We are all gods under the one true God. Okay, so when we say that we are gods, that's not blasphemy. That's just saying that we were made and created in God's image, and that same spark of divinity that he gave to us to give us life, it's in us too. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, more about prophecy. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote in Fall of America on page 239. Man, if we only understood, and we have been grasping this better now, whether you are a black politician, a black intellectual, just a regular lay person, whatever member of the human family, Mexican, Native American, white, whatever, we are learning now that everything that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, public information, and we are learning that we can get all of his books to study because they are relevant today to help us to survive this time that we live in. He said about this time that in those days your righteousness will sustain you. Your righteousness will sustain you. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, wrote in Fall of America, page 239, quote, the disbelievers believes in that which he sees present and not that which is prophesied to come. People probably wondering why I'm looking at. Well, I'm looking at the clock around the camera. He said, the disbelievers believes in that which he sees present and not that which is prophesied to come. This is why he is the loser and takes the course to hell, because he disbelieves in that which is prophesied to come about a particular day, unquote. A course to hell is thinking we already know and understand enough, so we lead ourselves into hard-heartedness against requisite information. I don't want to sound as I'm studying this and then saying things, I do not want to sound as though this is. I don't want to sound like this is fire and brimstone teaching, because it's not. You know, in Islam, Allah's most powerful attribute is mercy. Okay, but we still are told to hurl truth at falsehood until we knock out its brains, and then lo, it vanishes. You know, this is why the Bible says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. You know, he's not something, man, that is worthy of fear, man. And when I say the devil, I mean this Caucasian in his world. Not every white individual, but I mean their world, what they have built, how they have actually got us thinking artificially. They not worth it, man. They're not Allah. Okay, so again, a course to hell is thinking we already know and understand enough to, so we lead ourselves into hard-heartedness against requisite information. Check out this word requisite. Requisite means a thing that is necessary for the achievement of a specific end. What knowledge do black people need so that we can know our open enemy in this hostile society? This is a hostile society that continues to try to trick us. They even go so far today, and they probably did it before too, but man, today they even try to use their civil rights laws and then misuse us to make it seem like they're fighting for our rights, but then when the funds come, the funds go somewhere else. And then there are also Negro minds that do that too. That is the corrupt thinking that this hostile society, which is modern Babylon, has put us in. Prophesy is a prediction to come. The Bible says we have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, until the day dawn, and the day star arise in your hearts. That's in 2 Peter 1:19. And we are in a dark place today. So, further on, in 2 Timothy 3, 2 Timothy 3rd chapter, 1 to the 5th verse, it reads, this also know, listen to this, we're going to end with this, that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affliction, truce breakers, false accusers, fierce despisers of those that are good. Damn. There are people today, man, that despise you because you good. That's the reason. They that rotten-hearted, man. That they despise you because you good. Any of us have the chance to be good, you know, but a person's heart can be so damn rotten. You are side-eyeing somebody who's good because you ain't no good. You better be careful, man. People can lose their head for stuff like that in this day and time. Because Allah created the heavens and the earth in truth, not in falsehood. Not in falsehood. Okay? Fierce. Traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such, turn away. From such, turn away. So yeah, I had some more about the nature of prophecy, and I had some more about what follows a real life and death struggle. But all of this is for us to study on our information engine on finalcall.com. There is a search engine in that website where you can actually look up articles of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, of Mr. Farrakhan, of Jibril Muhammad, of Mother Tanetta Muhammad. Very powerful articles, very important articles for us to study and continue to strive toward the goal. But certain generations will not make it. This will probably come 100 or so years from now. But we are continuing to strive toward the goal, to want to be believers that are properly developed. And then it will go on and get better in those coming after us. Real talk. Okay? We got 5 minutes. I want to do this really quick. I'm reading from Torchlight for America. The minister wrote this book some years ago to help black people and to help white America to understand, what's going on and the warning. I recall one time I was talking to a Muslim brother that followed the minister, quote unquote, as I claim to, and we had a little disagreement. I forgot the exact context, but it was some kind of quote or some kind of clip from the minister. And I made the point, the minister is threatening them, and the brother said, no, brother, the minister, he don't threaten nobody. And I just listened. I'm like, wow. Because the minister said, and I remember these words from him. He said straight up, implicit in every warning is a threat. Implicit in every warning is a threat. So if he warning our open enemy, if he warning these scared to death Negroes, that's a threat, because it's something else coming if you don't take heed to the warning. That's real talk. Okay? Now, real talk. Let me just read this really quick. The mentality of black leadership. This comes from the minister now. Torchlight for America. Okay? Page 40. Black organizations and leadership must focus on self-help. We should create a forum in which we can convene regularly to discuss the troubles of our people and develop solutions that we can execute on our own. Each black organization and every black leader has a role in the upliftment of our people. We must recognize and respect each other's role and learn to work with those whom we do not agree with. We should consider establishing a united front for the purpose of converging our efforts to meet common objectives over 1, 3, 5, and 10 years. As a people, we must recognize and understand that in order for America to survive, she must tighten her belt, and all of her citizens will need to make sacrifices. The country is not in a position to give away because it has mortgaged its future. Okay? Man, he wrote this in 1993. That was a warning. Implicit in it was a threat. Now look at the country. You get South Africa, you get China, and you get Russia. Have met, and they are working now to stop the dollar from being the medium of exchange around the world, with oil and stuff like that. They want to put the medium of exchange either on the ruble, gold, silver, and other commodities. Okay? When America do not bow to truth and good, and then actually bow and yield to the time that's coming and so forth, then that is even a further example that, yes, this is modern Babylon. This is that great whore of the earth that deceived the whole earth. We didn't say it. Revelations said it. Okay? So, thank you all for listening. We'll be on again live on the 26th. It will be a panel of black women talking about mental health among our people. I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.